What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the Pull Focus Podcast. I'm Quentin, and today's guest is an amazing photographer, filmmaker, and probably the best FPV drone pilot that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Today, we have Mr. Parker Shepard here with us today. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Dude, I'm killing it. I'm kind of like I'm in like a little probably like starstruck moment, to be honest with you and stuff, because I've been following you for a while. We've talked professionally too when I was at Glenville a little bit on some projects, which higher ed always is just hit and miss and stuff.
That's how it goes.
Dude, if we had that project in hand, it would have been amazing for Glenville. But I fought for you. I tried a lot and stuff, just to let you know. But dude, yeah. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what got you into like overall content creation, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, so I'm primarily an FPV pilot now, but I also do like photography, videography stuff here and there. That's kind of how I got started into FPV, was because of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I got started into filmmaking just from when I was a kid. I just like got a little iPod Touch that had a camera on it. I remember like filming videos of like me and my brother snowboarding and stuff, and then got my first like real camera, which is a GoPro. And would take it out and just like film little vlogs and stuff like that. Kind of carried that on all the way through high school, and then someone reached out to me in high school and was like, "Hey, could we hire you to make a video?" And that was kind of the first like aha moment where I was like, "Oh, I could make money off this."
Yeah.
And then it was kind of the rest was history. Just started like snowballing from there, doing more and more projects.
Yeah.
Got a real camera, DSLR camera, and started shooting photos and whatnot, and then just kind of snowballed.
Nice. And now you have your own media business.
Mm-hmm.
You also, so did you went to school up at WU, right?
I went to school at WVU for a few years, and then I eventually dropped out, mainly just because there was a lot of opportunity with my business at the time, and it got to the point where I was missing a lot of class to go and do business projects and whatnot, and so actually almost failed a class because I missed too many classes, and I had an A in the class, but I just had too many absences, and so I was like close to failing the class because of that. And so, I decided I was going to take a year off and then see how business went. And then in that first year off, I hired my first employees and whatnot, and business kind of took off. And then I just decided I wasn't going to go back. So I just kind of been going with it since.
It just worked out.
Yeah, it just worked out.
I love it. I know I've been following your YouTube channel and stuff for a while, and like you've been all over the world in a sense. I mean, for me, it's all over the world because like I'm from a very small town here in West Virginia. So like, if I go out of state, I feel like I'm traveling. So it's like, so how are you like, pretty much like juggling that day-to-day life of content creation and then putting that back into like your business as well, like what you're learning from it?
Yeah, I mean, being sort of like quote unquote a travel creator was ultimately like my dream. Growing up, I always like watched all these people that were just traveling and creating content all around the world, and I just for the longest time wanted to do that. Like that was I saw them doing it. I was like, oh man, like if someday maybe I'd be able to like travel and go and shoot all these amazing countries, and like Iceland was the big one for me, and so
I feel like that's an initiation place for like a lot of
it really is.
People. It's like if you can start there and you shoot that well, you got that crossed off.
And I just kind of had my business kind of feed into that for the longest time. It was like I'd save up money from my media agency, and then like I would use that money to go and travel on and like kind of create content, capture content, and build a portfolio and build my social medias. And then once it finally got to the point where like that was making me money, then it was like, okay, now my business back home is like when I'm traveling, my employees back home, we managing that, and that'd be kind of kind of passive. I'd be like managing it from a distance while I'm traveling, and then I'd be more hands-on and handling the big projects when I'm back home. And then all while I'm kind of like still building up this portfolio, I'm traveling and landing collaborations with companies and tours and boards and stuff like that while I'm traveling. So yeah, it grew at one point to be a lot to manage both. And then we kind of dialed back on the agency side. We upped our rates so that we'd kind of be only doing bigger projects and working less basically. And then I could spend more time working on the travel projects and whatnot with like companies like GoPro and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Let's talk a little bit about like what your main, what I feel like what your content is mainly known for right now is FPV, drones and stuff. Kind of talk a little bit about what the difference between that is to your, regular drone, because I think it's such a new type of content that a lot of people like. I'm constantly explaining to a lot of people what it is as well and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think people sees a lot of the clips and they don't actually realize it's actually being flown by a pilot. I think a lot of it now they think it's like CGI and stuff. So dive a little bit into that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
No pun intended either. And stuff like that. But.
So FPV is just kind of this whole different realm of drone flying that really came into the filmmaking industry probably 2-3 years ago. And it's starting to slowly just kind of take over and be used for pretty much all big projects now. And you see it in big cinema movies now too. And it's just this new style of drone flying that's way more technical, but allows you to get these more dynamic shots you weren't able to get with a traditional drone. And traditional drone is what I'd call like something that has, it's like a GPS drone or something like that it kind of flies itself, but like if you were like with the sticks, like the GPS would keep it steady and keep it in place. So that's what I'd call it, a GPS drone.
Right.
And then you have like a camera on a gimbal usually that you can control while you're flying. FPV, they do have gimbaled ones, but traditionally is a fixed camera on it. And then so you get kind of those sweeping motions and you can do all these crazy dives and kind of fluid movements that you're not usually going to get on a traditional drone. And it's way more aggressive and it's more powerful. So you're able to fly like mine. I can get up to like 80-90 miles an hour.
Wow.
Whereas with a traditional drone you're going to buy at the store, it's going to usually be capped out around like 35, maybe 40 miles an hour. And then with that aggressiveness, you're able to do those crazy diving movements and stuff because the motors are so much more high power and the batteries are able to output so much more power like rapidly that you can do these crazy diving movements and punch out of them. Whereas if you try that with a regular drone, if it would even let you, it wouldn't be able to punch out at the bottom and just crash on the ground. So yeah, you're able to get these way more dynamic movements and more technical movements that you just wouldn't be able to get with any other drone.
Yeah, you're a modern day Jedi. That's what you are, man. Like that's immediately what I think some of those shots, like just going down through is I mean, when you're going down like a canyon wall or you're going down something like that, you automatically think of like the Death Star and like Luke right down through there. And that's what in my head, at least that's like the nerd side of me. I'm just like, so I'm just like, it's so cool. And I think, cause like I've done drone footage and stuff before, but like, I don't even feel comfortable buying an FPV drone, let alone fly in it, because there is like what you said, there's a whole different body with it. There's different camera. And I've watched a lot of your videos and I still, in the nicest way possible, I have no idea what you're talking about, so it's just like, man, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, it's so interesting. But I think the creators that does it and they do it well, those are the people that should do it, if that makes perfect sense. I think there's a difference, because I've had it with just my regular drone. There's a lot of just basic skill with that, and then people will get that and they'll be like, well, my drone can't do that, mine can't do this. And I was like, well, you got one that's like $40 and mine's like a couple thousand. And there's a huge difference between it. It's just not just a piece of equipment with propellers and just goes,
definitely.
So that's why I'm just like, I don't think I get bored too. I think that's every single clip has that intoxication like type of like you want to see what's next. You don't know where you're going, and it's just
Yeah.
like, even as a viewer, I think that's the captivating part of it. You're just like, ooh, where's he going to go to next? Is he going? I just watched the one where he was in Croatia with the waterfall, and he was just doing the swoop, and he was doing a fantastic job of actually, like describing, okay, I think I'm going to go up here and do this, and then as a creator myself, I see, I'm like, oh, okay, this is how he's breaking it down, and it's just like, oh, that does look good. But even yourself, you're just like, I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm gonna go back and do it. But like, you're doing these maneuvers that's coming second nature to you now and stuff
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
like, how long of practice did you have to get till you got there and stuff? And I mean, there had to be like a lot of trial and error.
Oh yeah,
with
definitely.
things, like,
Yeah. I mean, when I first jumped into it, because I just bought a controller to start, and I just started practicing on like a simulator on the computer.
Oh, okay.
And so
Well, that makes a lot
that's how
more
I
sense.
started. I put about 20 hours in on the simulator, and then um, I got a real one, flew it for the first time, and even then, my second flight, I like crashed in a river and like
Yeah.
completely ruined it. And so it was like, yeah, it was.
That makes me anxious just even thinking about it. It's not even my equipment and stuff too.
Yeah, like it was definitely a lot of just learning and trial and error. And so even after that, like I was able to like somewhat repair that drone and eventually got a new drone. And I basically just went out because I looked at it just like training anything else, like a sport or anything like that. Like the more I do it, the better I'm going to get at it. And so
Right.
it's just like getting the repetitions in. And so I basically told myself I was going to go out and fly every single day, no matter what. I was going to fly at least 4 batteries, which is
Yeah.
like they last around 5 minutes each. So
Okay.
I was like, I'm going to go out and fly at least 4 batteries every single day, just until I'm comfortable on the drone and I'm able to fly it. And so I'd go up to the city park in Morgantown, and I'd just sit at this park bench and just fly my drone every single day and just practice. And I'd get better and better. We'd find more gaps and hit smaller gaps and stuff like that as I'd go. And it probably took really about 6 months of doing that before I was like actually pretty decent at flying. I wouldn't say I'm great, because even then, like at the time, I would have like thought to myself like, oh, I'm a really good pilot now.
Right.
But I look back at the footage I shot then, and I'm like, wow, I had so much to learn.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm still improving. Like even I just did a shoot down in Florida where I was filming with some wake surfers, and I was like flying through the tower of the boat. The
Yeah.
boat was like coming head on, and
Yeah.
I remember I did a wake surfing shoot about exactly a year ago before that, and I remember like them telling me like, "Hey, you think you could fly through the tower?" And I was like, "There's no way.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
not even possible." And then like now it was like it felt super easy,
Yeah.
and so like I'm still noticing them progressing more and more. And that's the cool part about it, is it's kind of like a sport where it's like you realize like, oh, you find new challenges and
Yeah.
ways to push yourself and like to grow as an FPV pilot.
So when you're out there and you hit like one of those gaps or something, do you show it, or do you just like kind of like play it off cool, like a Maverick type of deal? Like,
It depends. If it's like in that scenario,
yeah.
I didn't tell them that I'd never done that before.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I wanted to play it off like I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
which I was still fully confident, but I didn't want to play it off like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
cause that's how I was internally whenever I hit
Yeah.
it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just hit.
Yeah.
I finally pulled that off. But yeah, so like internally I was definitely like freaking out, but externally I was like, keep my cool just so like they wouldn't like freak out and be
See,
like,
that's
oh my
what
gosh.
I
like,
couldn't do it and stuff, because like if I'm doing it, like, because I kind of like freak out if I get a good portrait of somebody.
Yeah,
And I'm just
yeah.
sitting there shooting them. We get the light and we get everything in focus. I'm just like, oh yeah, we got it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I could only imagine like a high intense like
There's
action.
Yeah,
like,
there's definitely moments where like I like one moment in specific that I remember was I was doing this shoot down the Bahamas for a big resort in Nassau, and I was wanting to get this one shot flying from the ocean through underneath the pier. Like we were getting the shot like flying up to this. They want to film this one restaurant. It was like facing the pier, so I got the shot flying from the ocean under the pier, up around the restaurant, and then inside the restaurant. And I didn't realize how small of a gap it was underneath the pier. And because I couldn't come at it from like the side where the bigger gap would be, I had to come at it at an angle, so it made my gap more narrow. And I remember I flew through, and the first time I went through, I jumped because it was like such a narrow gap.
Yeah.
It like almost was like a jump scare, like going through it. And And at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, like freaked out a
Yeah.
little bit. I made the gap and got the shot. Just because you're so stoked that you got like a
Yeah.
super sick shot.
I just there's a lot of math and a lot of like you really got to figure out what your angles and stuff. I just watched a video a couple days ago on YouTube. It was how ridiculous those guys that does like the trick shotting does down in Australia and stuff. They was throwing giant like tractor tires down a hill, and they asked the pilot if he could go through the tire when it's going down. So you don't know if it's going to hit a rock or not. And
Oh
then
yeah.
the kid was like, I think he was only like 19 or something, but he was massive talented, and they had two of them, and then they was like, what's the chances if you can go like through two of them? So he was like, we'll try it, but I'm just like letting you know, like, it's going fast because they're picking up speed. Like those tires
Oh,
are like
yeah.
probably like 250, 300, and they're going down a very steep hill. And they go through it, and so he gets through the first one perfect, and he was almost about to go in the second one, and he pulled off. He was like, too much risk, but the video is just like smooth as can be. I was like, dude, and he was just there, just smiling, and they was freaking out. I was like, dude, I would be like,
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
know. It's a cool perspective on like a nice like adrenaline rush for
Yeah,
creators
yeah.
now and stuff. So.
There's definitely been times where like I've just had my breath completely taken away. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, especially when it's close moments like that where it's like it's a really tough shot or like you almost crash and lose a drone. You're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and you're like your legs like almost go like you're like your legs get like wobbly, and you're like there was one moment specifically I remember. I was flying in Arizona and I was just getting like a long range shot on this mountain ridge. It was pretty windy, and I dropped down behind a rock a little bit, and it blocked the wind, and so it completely changed the way my drone was flying. My drone just dropped because the wind was kind of giving it a little bit of a lift.
Wow, yeah.
My drone just dropped, and it like almost when I was flying, I was like, oh my gosh, I almost hit a rock because it like all I saw on my goggle feed was just full rock.
Yeah.
And when I went back and watched the video later, I actually skipped off the rock. But I mean, like I just assumed that the drone didn't hit it, make contact if
Yeah.
I was still flying. But yeah, I remember I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was like, I almost lost my drone. I was like almost sick. I was like, oh, like catching my
Yeah.
breath afterwards. Like, yeah. So any moments like that where it's like a really close call and you're like really pushing it, you're always just like completely shocked and like out of breath
Yeah.
whenever.
Well, I think like rock and snow too is very hard to like find your depth perception on it too.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people actually truly understand that until they're like seeing a cliff or seeing like a glacier or something like that. And I kind of understand it into a different perspective because of I know like how like I'm kind of like shooting, but like I know. Like I've watched your videos of like Seneca and stuff. Like that's a place that I've been at. I know what it's like, and then people are just like, I don't know. You can't judge that. So like when you're like looking through it, like you have to like map it out. You have to find a good spot for it
Yeah.
because it can look like 100 or 10 feet real quick.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, I know. What's also is crazy too is a very I feel like it's a very younger mindset type of content because I showed like my parents just a video of it one time, and my mom was like, "Oh, it's making me sick." Like she's like she couldn't even like watch it, and it's like she couldn't even like
you get that
track
sometimes.
it. But like I think we're so used to like a fast pace, like in your face, like so used to like CGI and explosions and all this stuff that growing up we're just like, "Oh yeah, this is sick."
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect us like that.
Yeah.
And stuff. I thought that was a really interesting like mindset of it and stuff.
Yeah.
But
The coolest thing for me with FPV is just like you're able to showcase stuff in ways that's like never been captured before.
Yeah.
And like especially in like these canyons and stuff like that, like I'm putting a drone and like probably seeing stuff that a lot of people have never seen before or captured
Yeah.
before.
or will ever see, like especially places that evolve like with snow or water and stuff
yeah.
like that.
And
So,
even like the biggest one for me was the volcano. Like
yeah.
that was
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it, man, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I actually wore my my Hawaii volcano shirt and stuff because we was going to talk about volcanoes today and stuff. I watched that, and then I think you put that out, that those clips came out and stuff about the same time that I was going to go to Hawaii and stuff. I was shooting a destination wedding, and we had like 3 days and I told my wife, I was like, well, we're going to the volcano. We're going to see it. But that volcano was like nothing like, I mean, it was just steam. I was so bummed about everything. But it was just like a whole different mindset. But like, I don't even know how to explain it and stuff. You inspired me so much that I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely get this same shot. And it was not even close. I think I didn't even save the photos. I was just like, no, you can't even make it. All it was, because you can go there like around like 7 o'clock and it glows, and that was
Okay.
it. And I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I've seen bonfires back home better than this and stuff. So, but it definitely gave me a different perception of like, okay, well, if you travel these places and you have to be prepared, you have to like do your research of knowing, because a lot of it, I don't know about the area that you was in, and you're probably going to talk more about it, but like there are certain times that's more active and just like things like that. There's a lake in Africa that like has the most lightning strikes in all the world,
Interesting.
and there's National Geographic always does a feature on it, and they always do like time lapse of it. And there's like 2 weeks in the summer, like in June, like well actually it's probably the end of this month. It's like 120 lightning strikes like per minute and stuff. I mean, it's the most striked place in the whole entire world.
That's
And it's just a
crazy.
lake in Africa and stuff. And they always do some crazy stuff. So like those photographers know that, okay,
Yeah.
a week before, and we're staying a week after to make sure we're covering everything and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean it's all trial and error, and like that, like my biggest example of that is like me with Northern Lights. Like,
Yeah.
just like I probably took 3 Northern Lights trips and got completely burnt with no Northern Lights. And it's just mainly just from my lack of knowledge on Northern Lights and like
Yeah.
how they work and stuff like that. Because like the first one we went to, we flew to Finland in November and then flew way far north in the Lapland of Finland, into the Arctic Circle. And I remember like it was negative 20 degrees out. Like it was the most miserably cold I'd ever been in my life. And like our cabin, when we got there, we didn't realize our Airbnb like didn't come with bedding, so we were just like sleeping on just like the top of the mattress and like
Yeah.
these random pillows we found, and then just like threw our like clothes on top of us for bedding. And like we were literally just there because we wanted to see Northern Lights.
Yeah.
It was only 20 minutes of daylight during the day too, so it was like
Oh, wow.
just darkness all the time. Like you're only there to see Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And yeah, got no Northern Lights the entire time. And we didn't realize it was gonna be full moon while we were there, which is bad for seeing Northern Lights because you got light pollution.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I didn't realize Northern Lights go in like a 3-day cycle. Well, they're on like a 7-day cycle, which they'll like usually appear for like 3 days during those 7 days. And so, yeah, we only spent 3 nights there. And so
Wow.
it was like, we just happened to be on the complete opposite schedule of when Northern Lights were there as well. Plus it was cloudy. And it
Yeah.
was also like, that was the season when it's typically cloudy. Yeah. So just
Yeah,
like all these
that's-
little details that like I learned from that trip, and I took it to the next trip and like applied that knowledge to that one, then applied
Yeah.
knowledge, just kept learning more and more, and like then learned how to read the charts and like learned how to like read the weather maps better, so I could see like where there were gonna be breaks in the clouds. We go shoot them. Yeah.
There was a video on YouTube that I watched a couple years ago. This is after that solar eclipse that happened in like 2017, I think. And they went out to Utah and they was doing they had like a wire set up on like an arc where they was what's that called, like where they walk across like the wire and stuff.
Slacklining, or is it like a tightrope?
Tightrope, yeah. So they was doing that. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to get a shot during the eclipse of a tightrope walker like right at the middle and stuff. So and it was an awesome video. Like it was well done. It was very like it was a beautiful documentary on it and stuff. But they was there for 2 weeks because they was constantly planning the sun. They was planning like all this. They was hoping that they're going to have a clear day, and it being in Utah, like it was like one of those things that they didn't know if it was going to just like be sunny one day or just like complete
Such a gamble.
But they did it, and the images they got was just absolutely breathtaking and stuff. I mean, something that, I don't know if anybody else is ever going to capture that
Yeah.
ever in the world. So I mean, it was amazing. And then that was in 2017, and that video I think came out in like 2018. They did a whole thing on it, and then this year when all that stuff was going on, I felt like, I don't know if it's just me like following more creators or what, but like I felt like everybody killed it on their
Yeah.
eclipses this year. Like I don't know
So
why.
much content from it. Yeah. I completely missed the wave on that eclipse
I
happening.
didn't do it either. And
Yeah.
stuff. I got scared. I was just like,
I didn't do anything, and I regret that I didn't do anything.
yeah.
And I actually have marked on my calendar for 2026, total eclipse is going to happen in Iceland.
Oh,
And so,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, all right, I've missed it the past 2 years. I'm not missing it again.
Yeah,
I'm going to Iceland 2026. I'm capturing this eclipse this time. Like,
dude. That's incredible. Like and I constantly because I'm like a nerd about like space and like just geology and the world and stuff. I love science and things like that. But I everyone always asks me, it was like, oh, did you go get a picture of it? And I was like, no. And I always do it because like if I do it, I want to do it with the right gear and the right like I wanted it to be perfect. I don't
yeah,
want it to be like I set it up and I don't want to get like disappointed. Be one thinking that I'm not like kind of like ready enough for it, and then two thinking that I didn't do it correctly because I just didn't do enough homework on it.
yeah,
And so I'm just like, no, I didn't do it. Maybe next time. But it's just like, like Haley's Comet. That's something that comes back around every 90 years or something
yeah,
like that. Like if that happens, like you have to like take the opportunity
yeah.
to do it and stuff. And so I'm trying to like get myself in a better mindset. Is like when those events happen, I need to be more proactive on it and stuff because I'm going to be missing like a prime opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, even just from an experience standpoint, not even from like me shooting it, I wish I would have gone out, like drove into the like whatever total eclipse zone. Like I
Yeah.
wish I would have drove out to Ohio to see it. And I was going to that day, and then I just had so much work ended up like falling in my lap, and I was about to leave for a trip, and so I was like, I'm just gonna stay back and work today. I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
out to see it. And then like all my friends that went out to see it were posting videos of where it just like went fully dark, and I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I'm like,
Like
I should have gone for it.
it was truly incredible. Like I follow a lot of National Geographic photographers just because I mean that's just I've talked about it on like previous episodes of like in fourth grade they tell you like what you want to be and stuff, and that's literally what I put down. I was like, I want to be a Nat Geo. I grew up, I didn't have internet, I didn't have TV or anything, but my dad, he would always get National Geographic, so that was like the form of entertainment
That's
for
cool.
me. And he has some from like the 1950s, like
That's
just
crazy.
these old ones, and you see like the evolution of like the photography from the 50s, 60s, and then you start seeing, the 90s, and then
Yeah.
the 2000s, and you're just like, I don't know, it inspired me a lot, but it's just like when you're coming from like a background like that, you're just like, that's so out of reach that was like the only way to do it and stuff. But still pretty cool regardless. I'm telling myself like when I went to Hawaii, that was the first time I ever flew. So like I'm still trying to tell myself I got it, like I can do it. I can
Yeah.
just go out and do it and stuff. And I booked a shoot in Delaware. I'm flying up there in July actually, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm doing it now, like I'm just booking shoots, doing stuff, and I can do that now.
Yeah.
But I want to, because I went full time a few months ago, and now I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out like where I actually want to go and have that first authentic like travel experience as a creator.
Yeah.
So because I want to make it memorable, and then I want to make sure I keep on doing it and stuff, but because like I'm obsessed with like out west. I want to go to Joshua Tree. I want to go just look at I just want to create. I love the tones out there and the oranges and the reds of just the sand.
It just looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was the biggest thing whenever I got into like doing some travel stuff. Like I knew I wanted to travel. I knew I was like, okay, I can only afford to do a lot of these trips. How can I just like dirtbag it?
Yeah.
And so like my first like kind of trips like that were going out west and just driving. And it was like,
Yeah.
I remember it was actually during COVID. I was supposed to do my first trip to Iceland. It was my first time out of the country. And we had our bags packed, like saved up for so long to go on this trip. Had everything booked, had our bags packed to fly out the next morning. And like the week before is whenever like the first case of COVID hit the US. And so then everyone was like freaking out. And so we went and bought masks and stuff because we're like, all right, well, if this isn't going to be like be a thing, we should probably get masks and like play it safe. We're still going to go to Iceland. Had our bags packed Wednesday night, and then we're supposed to fly out Thursday, and then Trump comes on TV, and we're like, we knew he was coming on TV to make an announcement that night, and we were like, my buddy called me, he's like, hey, there might be a chance he cuts off travel like totally to other countries, and all of us were like, can he do that? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
And I remember that night he like cut off travel with Europe, and we were like, no, like this trip we've been looking forward to for so long, finally just got like the rug pulled out from under us, and then like I had also booked a trip for Norway for that year as well. That one also got canceled. And then that summer I was like, well, like we're just sitting around, nothing to do. And like I was like, let's just get in the car and drive out west. And so we like me and 3 of my friends got in the car, drove out to Colorado. Didn't really have a whole lot of idea of what we're gonna do. Like we knew we were gonna go to Colorado and Utah. Mm-hmm. When we got to Utah, we were down in Zion, and then we're like, oh, we're only a couple hours from the Grand Canyon. We should just drive down the Grand Canyon. So we drove down the Grand Canyon, and then we like started looking at the map to drive back. We'd booked an Airbnb in New Mexico to start coming back, and then for the next day. And then, we were driving into the Grand Canyon, and we got an alert on our phone that Yosemite National Park was opening up like 3 days later. And then we saw the sign for Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And we were like, should we just drive out to California? Yeah. And so we like ended up the next day after we went to the Grand Canyon, drove out to Los Angeles, spent like 2 nights in Los Angeles, and then drove up to Yosemite.
So
and
cool.
That was one of the coolest moments. It was kind of like, I kind of got spoiled. Like that was my first travel experiences was doing that. And like when we went to Yosemite Valley, we saw one other person the entire day. Mm-hmm. We spent the entire day hiking through Yosemite Valley because we were the first people in there once it reopened.
Oh, wow.
And we saw one other person. It was at the base of Yosemite Falls. We hiked all the way up to the top of Yosemite Falls, didn't see anybody. And it's like, that's unheard of.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's such a cool experience. Just to like, I don't think a lot of people would truly understand that's a special moment and stuff right there for sure. Well, yeah, and then you was mentioning like just California in general. That's a place too. Like you could spend months and weeks in that state. They have dunes, they have forest, they have city. A little bit of everything, and then you got like just the West Coast vibe, regardless. And stuff. So
much. There's just so much to see in that entire area. Like you could spend so much time out there.
I'm wanting to at some point, but I'm not like, I don't know. LA just kind of like scares me in general and stuff. I've only been at the airport of LA, but like just flying and just being there and stuff, I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. Like it was just, I think I want to see the rest of California and what it has.
Yeah.
I'm not really big into like the Hollywood or LA scene and stuff. I want to see like more of the northern California and stuff, and that type of West Coast.
We got like our I think I got my LA experience out of me. We spent those 2 days there during COVID. It was during COVID, so there was like nobody there, so it's pretty empty. But like we went to the Hollywood sign and all that stuff. Went to like Venice Beach, the skate park, like all those main spots, and then I went back. I had a layover there on my way to Fiji in the fall, and then I like spent like a full day in LA, and then I was like, okay, I feel like I got my LA experience with like people there, and now I'm pretty set.
Dude, yeah. I've been I went up to Maine last year, and I had to fly into Boston, and I just like the whole East Coast versus West Coast, like it's amazing how we're still part of like a country, but so separated with like culture and stuff. It was just like, because even when I was at the airport in LA, we had a 6-hour layover there because that was coming back from Hawaii, so we was going from LA to Chicago, and the layover was just 6. So we just kind of like chilled and just walked around the airport and stuff like that. And even the people and the workers there, you're just like, it was just a different way of talking.
It's a whole different culture. Yeah.
And stuff. Chicago was really nice though. I liked it. The people there was super nice, and it was also super cool because you kind of get to see that hallway like off of like Home Alone, and it's like when they're rushing to the airport. I was just like, I thought that was probably the coolest part of the whole entire thing. But when you see places like from movies, and then you actually add them, it's just like, I don't know,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to like now seen like a lot of the ones in other countries too.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I went to Iceland because Secret Life of Walter Mitty is like one of my favorite movies. And so like we went to the town that he like longboards down into.
Yeah.
And I like got the photo, like one of the frames from the movie, and like held it up so I could like get the lining up, right? So I took a photo like the same street.
That's cool.
And even like Star Wars, like I've seen so many of the landscapes that like Star Wars has been shot in.
Yeah.
And like a lot of it was shot in Iceland. So there's like a lot of parts of Iceland I've seen.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff from Game of the Thrones. Like when I was just out in I think in Croatia, there was a lot of like scenes from Game of Thrones that was filmed out there. And so it's just like really cool to see all the different little scenes and like be like, oh, that's where this was shot.
See, and that's the reason why, like, when I was going to Hawaii, like, I'm a big Jurassic Park fan. I even have like I have a T-Rex skull on my calf tattooed. Like, I love Jurassic Park, and we went to the Big Island, and the majority of Jurassic Park was filmed on Maui's side, and I didn't know that. I'm just like thinking that the islands are closer than they were, and I don't know why. I don't know. It was the first time. I learned a lot, and I think I was so excited about the experience. I didn't really question a lot of things. I was just like, yeah, let's go. But I get there, and the outside, don't get me wrong, Hawaii's Hawaii, and it's still a beautiful state, and but 2/3 of the Big Island is nothing but just barren, like mountain, because it's a volcano. So like you're literally crossing the volcano to get to one side or the other, and they don't have deer. They have like goats. They have wild goats and stuff. So you see these goats just like, crossing and stuff like that. And but the real cool thing about it, like on the Big Island, is so high, like up at the observatory, there's snow, so like you can snowboard and then go surfing in the same day. That's insane. I think, like when people think about that. We didn't get a chance to go up there because it was like it took like 2.5 hours to go up there. Then you had to have like a pass, and then that was also coming out of COVID, so like we just didn't know what was open and what wasn't. Hawaii was like pretty much like they wasn't following any rules anyway. They didn't care, but we just didn't know, so we just kind of like played it safe on things and stuff. But that observatory up there, man, I would love to spend a night of just night photography up there. So have you been in New Zealand?
I haven't.
I feel like that's
I have a lot of friends from New Zealand that I met just through like doing photography stuff and traveling. They've been telling me I need to come out to New Zealand. I've heard New Zealand's a little strict with drones. So I've been kind of shying away from areas that are strict with drones right now. Makes
sense.
Like my time's been pretty limited with how much time I'm able to travel. And I mean pretty limited, like I'm still traveling every month, but like I'm just like prioritizing the places I can fly drones. Now, granted, I'm actually about to go to Banff on Friday, and you can't have any drones in like that area. So it'll be like my first trip in years that I'm not even like taking drones with me. So I'm like, this is gonna be very weird.
Like feel naked. Like,
literally. I was literally like driving down here thinking about it. I'm like, what am I gonna do with myself while I'm up there? Like,
it's kind of a good challenge though, because like as a creator, you're like, okay, what else can I
do? I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, how can I go out there and like still make something that I'm proud to put out that I'm like, that doesn't involve drones, because my life's kind of revolved around drones for the past like 3 years. And ever since I've traveled, it's been drones. And so it's like, this is going to be like almost a new creative challenge. And that's like part of the reason why I'm so excited for it, was because it's like, I get to go out there and shoot content and like try to do something that's completely out of my comfort zone. And like, as a result of that, I'm going to grow as a creator. So
So how does like when you go to these different countries and stuff, when you're doing the research about their laws and everything, does that all go through like the FAA website, or is like they're all
The FAA website only deals with like U.S.
just US?
operations, and
Okay.
so you just have to go online and try to find like through Reddit threads and like all kinds of stuff about flying drones in other countries, and a lot of them it's like I mean like even here in West Virginia like state parks you're technically not
Yeah.
legally allowed to fly drones in, but like everyone does anyways, and
Yeah.
so a lot of it is like okay you go on like you look at their laws and then you look at what like the community is saying about it and like being like oh like is this like
Yeah.
acceptable or like am I going to get thrown in jail, like there's countries
Yeah.
where like they'll just straight up throw you in jail if you fly a drone there.
I've heard like national parks, there's a lot more
So strict, yeah,
and stuff
but
with it.
again like Iceland, I've been in Iceland and like had park rangers just tell me like oh yeah just don't fly a drone near people and you're fine in a
Yeah.
national park,
Yeah.
where it's like this should be completely illegal there and they have it listed as
Yeah.
it's legal, and so yeah it's
So
just very
Hawaii's
iffy.
was interesting because they said around the coastline, fly at your own risk, but inward where there's a lot of waterfalls, they had tons and tons of no flying signs and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, they had a lot.
Well,
So
yeah, there's also spots in Iceland that have signs that say no drones,
yeah,
but they like it's not enforceable. It's
Yeah.
not like a law. It's not anything like that. It's just like someone put up a sign because like the drones are annoying.
yeah.
And so they're like, oh, we don't want drones because they're annoying. But they also are like, they're not going to do anything if you fly a drone. There's
Yeah.
no way for them to do anything. And so it's like,
Do
yeah.
you think a way to like solve that is maybe like having a full like month that would be like drone open or like for flying or like
No, I mean, the biggest issue with drones is you just have so many tourists that come in that have no clue what they're doing with a
Yeah.
drone. And it's like, oh, I just bought this drone right before this trip, and I'm
Well-
bringing it here to fly because I want to capture my vacation. And then they are reckless with it and irresponsible and crash and all kinds of stuff. You see it all the time.
And I'll
so,
say that it's not only with drones; it's just being a tourist in general. And
being a
stuff.
tourist in general, yes, but I think the drone is the biggest one that you could really affect another person with, because it's like if you could wreck and hit somebody with one of those, and that's also part of the reason why I'm a little concerned with all the consumer bought FPV drones coming on the market now.
Yeah.
Because like I mean, I have people tell me all the time, they're like, oh yeah, like saw you flew FPV, so I went out and bought the DJI Avata and like just figured I could just throw it straight in like full acro mode and like didn't realize how hard it was. And I just
Yeah.
like smacked a building or something like that,
Yeah.
full speed. And it's like,
Well, and
oh my
DJI's
gosh.
not like helping either because they just literally put out a commercial of like this kid putting it on, flying them out to the paddle borders, and they have like espressos. Like they was like,
I've seen that, yeah.
You see, I was thinking to myself, I was like, that's not good marketing in my mind.
No.
In my mind, it's not because it's like. I understand they're trying to say like how easy it is, and they're really putting their confidence in their software and stuff. But it's like I'm not giving a 5-year-old kid a drone to just go fly, and
especially an FPV drone, because it's also like that kid in that video likely wasn't flying it in full acro mode, but like
no,
a lot of people won't realize
Yeah.
that and just get it and try to fly it in acro mode and then like crash and hit somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like the same. You see so much irresponsible flying with it. Like I've had clients, I'm not going to name client, but I've had
Right.
clients where like I've come and done like shots over crowds and stuff for them with FPV. And when we do that, we're using a very specific custom built drone that's very small and lightweight that like I could fly that thing into my face full speed and it wouldn't do anything to me. Because it's got foam all over it. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
got prop
protected,
guards, it's
yeah.
protected. It weighs like 230 grams. Like
Yeah.
it weighs practically nothing. And then they were like, and I was like, oh, hey, like if you want me to come back and do more stuff, like let me know. I can work into the schedule. And then they were like, oh no, we actually just got an Avata. We're going to go and fly with the Avata. And I'm like, one, that's not even close to being legal.
Yeah.
And two, like you're having an intern fly in Nevada that like probably just flew this thing for the first time last week, and you're gonna have them want to go and fly over the crowd
Yeah.
and try to get similar shots like what I'm getting with a drone that's like one safe to do it, but also I've had years of experience
Yeah.
doing it. And so yeah, it's just like that's my fear with the consumer bought FPV drones becoming more mainstream, is that more people are gonna be irresponsible with them and reckless, and then in return, that's going to be more regulations that are placed on it to try
Yeah.
to like and like try to keep people from doing that, which then falls back on the people who are doing it responsibly. Because the people who are doing it irresponsibly and like have without experience, they're not going to follow the laws and the rules anyways.
Right.
It only affects the people who are doing it legally and like following all the laws and rules. That's the only people who get affected by it. And then like, and they're the ones that like are responsible and like you would want to be like able to fly in those scenarios.
Right. Well, and it's such a, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because like it helps the community so much of getting these shots of, because a lot of these tourism areas, because like I worked at Western Union Tourism for 4 years and stuff, and what I learned a lot about it is like you could throw a drone shot at an area and it would 100 times already be more marketable than being on the ground, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it really advances their content, and but then at the same time, when the people that are trying to, like you said, it's like just trying to follow the rules, they're getting hit with so many different, you know, the legality of it and stuff, and it's just like I don't know, it's frustrating at the same time, because we had that conversation, you know, at Glenville and stuff whenever I was working there, and we was trying to work on some projects together, and we ended up getting a Mavic 3 Senna, which was great for what we needed, just kind of like basic stuff.
Yeah.
But I told him, I was like, listen, we could up this, but I'm not doing this. Like, we have to hire some, because
Yeah.
they was like, well, you know how to fly, and you have your stuff, and you can get trained. I was like, no, this is different. And the people don't understand the same. I mean, just because you have a driver's license doesn't mean you can drive an F1 race car.
Exactly.
And that should be the mindset of it.
And I've had the conversation with a lot of like different like police officers and patrol and stuff like that I've dealt with flying drones in the past at different projects and whatnot. And we've all had the same conversation. It's like they approach me when I'm flying the drone and they're like, we don't, like, yeah, sure, you have a Part 107, but like you could have just literally gotten that this weekend and this could be your first time flying a drone.
Yeah.
Or like you could be like how you are now, where you're like extremely professional and like is like obviously very well trained on a drone. And they're like, but just because you have Part 107, like it doesn't tell us anything about what kind of pilot you are.
Yeah.
And so I've been saying this for a while. I think the FAA needs to release tiers of certifications, just like how a regular pilot would have.
I 100% agree.
You wouldn't have someone who's a private pilot who just passed their written test flying a commercial airliner. Like you should have tiers of this of certifications and actually have physical tests of flying a drone, not just going in and doing a written test that you could study for 2 hours and go and pass.
Right.
That makes you a like certified professional drone pilot. Like that they need to have physical tests for flying to show like, oh, and have different tiers of like restrictions. Like maybe you have like the people who just pass the written test, they have the most restrictions. And it's like somebody who's coming in and passed like a very comprehensive flying test, like they have the least amount of restrictions. So there needs to be tiers to it.
And see, and even as me as a creator, I would be okay with that, because now I feel like I'm more I have more accountability within myself. And it's just like, okay, I know that I did the right steps. So if something happens, I know that, well, this is the reason why. But it's like, you can't, like, I don't know, like I've grown up to be like a, you know, I got bullshitted my way through high school, so like you can't bullshit a bullshitter, you know what I mean? And when you're taking a test and you're just like, that's it, like it just seemed so, I don't know, it was just another step, you know. And I'm just like, no, actually challenge me, like. And it's like all of it's just written. It's like none of it's like actually, you know, how to turn your drone on, how do you take off, how do you
none
land,
of it's like,
you know, and it's just
applicable to anything that we're doing.
And
it's pretty frustrating, the whole FAA's approach to drones, and they don't take it seriously, and that's the most annoying part. They seem like they're more so just annoyed about the drones than actually taking steps to help the drone videographers and like pilots.
Which I don't know why it wouldn't be a conversation, at least like in the future, because that is our future. This is what I mean, there's so much of it's being used right now, and I mean, there was issues with like Marshall last year during that one football game and stuff, and the Sun Belt Conference got a lot of heat and stuff, but that's probably one of the best clips Marshall's put out in the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Yep.
what do you want us to do? We are literally, and I think they was more upset that they weren't aware of anything. So, and it was probably just a intern or somebody that was doing it. But at the same time, it's just like, well, now you just made national news. So, and just helped your conference out like a lot more. I don't know. It's just, you got to pick and choose, I guess, on those. But yeah, it's very interesting regardless. I think I'll stick to my Mavic for a while and stuff. And I don't think I'm gonna. I like I said, I want to watch you guys and stuff, kind of like really take that because it's just. I mean, I have a GoPro, so like I have the camera on it, but I have nothing else, and I'm just like I don't think the time or patience right now to like learn a new type
and
of.
the thing, and this is the reason, like I'm leaning more and more towards just being an FPV pilot. Like pretty much every day, I'm like more and more focused in just doing FPV and establishing myself as just like a really solid FPV pilot than trying to juggle being like a great cinematographer and photographer and FPV drone pilot. And the biggest thing is being like, I've recognized that FPV is such a serious craft to like, if you want to really excel at it, like you have to know so many ins and outs of it. Like you got to be able to build your drones. You have to be able to like tune the drones, program them. You have to be able to like fly in all these different scenarios, fly all these different styles of drones that they all fly differently. They all have a different feel, and you have to put time in on every single one to get comfortable and be able to do shoots on those drones. And so it's
you even mentioned, sorry to cut you off there, but like your second to last video I think you did when you was flying the Glacier, you was even just talking about how the sand was magnetic and stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's like even the places where you are filming,
scenarios.
It's going to be a different scenario every single time.
100%.
So
yeah, and you and even then, like you're oftentimes like having different drones for those different scenarios. So like whenever I'm flying like in Iceland and flying waterfalls and stuff like that, like I have a drone that's like I've basically fully waterproofed because like there's so much water coming off those waterfalls and stuff. And I actually just lost a drone in Croatia recently because I didn't have it waterproofed, and the smallest little splash took my drone out and tanked it in the ocean. And
you don't have one lava proof.
I don't have one lava proof, but it's funny because I took about an equal amount of splash of lava on a drone, and the drone did not die, but salt water, took the drone out.
That's insane. DJI needs to be talking to you ASAP on that and be like, listen,
it's a sore subject.
Like, yeah.
I don't know why I haven't been put on any DJI campaigns. I've like personally gone up and talked to them, like their marketing director at an event before, like walked up, introduced myself. I was like, hey man, like do a bunch of drone stuff. Like I pretty much specifically do drone stuff. Like I'd love to work with you guys. You guys have any campaigns coming for anything like that? He's like, oh yeah, like talk to me, took my contact information, never heard a beep. But then it's like, and then all my friends I travel with, like every single one of them works with DJI and has like a contract to shoot. They get like every time a new drone releases, they're like filming a campaign for it. I'm like, come on guys, throw me a bone. I want to work with you guys. Like I use your products all the time. Just give me one.
Yeah. I like them for the most part. I mean, I got the Osmo. I have the mics. The DJI mics is really great to work with. I also got like I had the drones and stuff as well. I also have a gimbal with them too. Like their whole gimbal system is very
amazing,
very good. So
and even like I'm in the process of working on switching over to Red Komodo for a lot of my video stuff.
Dude, I was so excited for you.
Yeah, dude, and like and then it has like the LiDAR focus system, so you can literally turn your Red Komodo or any cinema camera that wouldn't have autofocus into an autofocus camera, which is amazing. And like the technology is great, like that. I've gotten like use it a little bit whenever I was out at the NAB show in Las Vegas and like play around with it, and it's incredible. And like I really want to get one of the Ronin 4Ds, their cameras, like the 8K where it has like the little chicken head on it. I mean, that thing is incredible. Like we the videographer on our shoot that we did for Centurion last year used it. And I mean, it was just like the most stable shots you could ever imagine. And you can even like the fact that you can take the gimbal head off, have the body of the camera in a backpack, and then just put the gimbal head on like a pole or something like that. So it's just super lightweight. I mean, it'd be like carrying this around. Like,
Yeah.
this is probably about equal weight. And you have an 8K cinema camera on that.
It's
With
insane.
it, you can put cine glass on and still have autofocus from the LiDAR system on it. And it's like, I mean, the technology they're putting out with
Yeah.
that is incredible.
Yeah, I know, like for new beginners, I always tell people, I was like, you that's like the Apple, that's the Mercedes of gimbals and everything like that. Like, they're like, oh well, it's like pretty expensive. I was like, yeah,
For
but
a
they're
reason.
worth it. Like
For a
they're
reason.
like I wouldn't. I mean, maybe if I'm just starting out, but I'm not using that for very long at all.
Yeah.
You know, just to get my feet wet, and then I'm getting a DJI.
Yeah,
stuff,
and
so.
it's like, I mean, yeah, in the long run of things, like the price for it is still
Yeah.
cheap. Like 10 years ago, like
Yeah.
you'd be spending like tens of thousands
Yeah.
for something equivalent. And like now it's like the fact that we can get a gimbal of that caliber for like $900.
The fact that you can just get like the Mavic 3 Sena drone itself
Oh,
has
yeah.
3 different focal lengths on it, and
In such a compact
you
body.
can literally film a whole movie on it. And it's 3,000 right now for the whole creator like bundle and stuff, but like that 3,000 like at the end of all the content that you would get. So imagine if you just took that out to like Iceland for 2 weeks, just and that was the only thing you filmed with. You can get enough content for like 4 months right there.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and just with that alone, and I just don't think a lot of people really like realize that recycle and reuse of how good our technology is and how they can get into it and stuff. But yeah, I know for me, like I have a GoPro Hero Max 10, I think is what it's called. I loved it. I love doing like behind the scenes stuff, but I ended up getting that DJI Osmo, which is what this is filmed with, and that pretty much is making my GoPro completely obsolete now. And I don't use it as much because I didn't like to strap it on, and so I'm kind of like a bigger guy, and I just didn't like. I
Yeah.
just wanted to be more comfortable with that. You can switch it around. It's stable. It
Yeah.
shoots 4K. I mean, what more? And it comes with ND filters and stuff too. So like you can do all types of stuff with it.
Yeah.
I got a little suction thing. I put it on my car. You can get creative with it.
I've seen so many really sick
mean-
like shots with the just everything you do with the little Osmo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like being able to have such a powerful little gimbaled camera in your pocket is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I saw a lot of reviews online, and some bigger people, not Peter McKinnon, but the guy that he always travels. I think it's like Scott something. He does a lot of trips with Peter and stuff, but he did a whole review on the Osmo and did a whole YouTube video on it. And he's like,
Yeah.
man, if you're wondering, this is being filmed on this. And I was
Yeah.
like, what the heck? And then he showed exactly it and everything, and I was just like, that pretty much sold me. Granted, I know he was editing and crazy LUTs and all types of different things, but I was just like, no, because like I know what I'm doing with it is going to be just fine.
Yeah,
and that's what
yeah.
I'm doing. I have three behind the scene YouTube videos that's going to come out next week that I do. And what I do is I put a tripod up, and then I just put that, and then I'm just shooting, and then I'll put the photo right above, and it's been pretty cool. Like those is like really easy YouTube videos, and then the way I'm thinking is like if I'm on a portrait session, I'm gonna get content. Let me get a reel. Let me get behind the scene. Let me get a YouTube video. I can get all that, and then I can just recycle and reuse them whenever I want to.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I kind of wanted to do with that anyway. And you see so many TikToks of just people with a lot of people they get like their phone, like a phone mount, and just strap it on. It's not even a GoPro because their phones
I've seen
now,
that. It's like they use the little like necklace thing that just
Yeah.
has a little
Yeah.
mag safe like
Yeah.
stick thing on it. Yeah, it's a pretty. I've seen a lot of people using that. It's a pretty ridiculous looking setup, but it
There's
works.
a Mav that I follow on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever watched his stuff, but he just travels and just camps in the back of his truck and does like vlogs and stuff. And
That's cool.
he always like makes these crazy like meals and everything. But he shoots off his stuff just with like extra iPhones. They all shooting 4K and everything. And he's just there. And you'll see like I watch it sometimes because I'm looking at it and you'll see it in a reflection. And he just has like this thing. And I was just like, dude, you think it'd be a GoPro, but it's no. He just has like 2 or 3 phones that he just uses to film all of his videos.
Yeah.
Couldn't even tell, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, that's pretty cool though. I like DJI. I like. I've always been interested in drones in general. I had a Phantom when I first started. That was the first drone I had, and that thing was like a freaking milk crate weed eater. Like, dude, it just I remember the first time. Oh man, I remember the first time I went to fly. This kind of tells you how amateur, and probably I wasn't even prepared for it though. But I thought, I don't know how, I don't know what I thought, but I thought as soon as I started up, it was going to be smooth and stuff. So I was holding it. I didn't like do it, and then when I hit go, I still had it. And the propellers just flipped, and it just cut me like right through there.
Man!
So like I literally had these like stripes all across. I had a dress shirt on because I was working at All Sombrados at the time, and I was like, oh yeah, I got my drone. I was like, I'll get some really cool like summer video and stuff. Like this. And my dress shirt was completely. I mean, it looked like somebody just sliced me, and I was just like, now I know, and stuff. But
I mean, it's crazy the progression that's been made with drones in the past, like.
And that thing came in a box that was like the size of a freaking.
Yeah, and the quality on it is like, I mean, it's pretty bad compared to what we have now.
It was like 720, and we thought we was doing good.
Yeah, like we thought this was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, even like going from the Mavic, like the first Mavic was the first one I had. I got it pretty much when it came out. That was my first drone, and like even that drone compared to like the Mavic 3 is night and day.
Oh,
I mean, it's crazy, and that's the 3 iterations of it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's insane. I do wish DJI continued the Phantom series because I think there's a good market for an in-between between the Mavic 3 and the Inspire 3.
Yeah.
I feel like there's opportunity for a good drone in between those two because I don't feel like there is a solid option. There's no option between that two.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think there's no option between the two.
Yeah.
And I would love to see something that has interchangeable lenses or something with a little bit more of like focal length that you can get more of like a depth, like get more depth of field out of your footage. Because with the Mavic 3, you're not going to see depth of field really. Like you're not going to see a difference in depth of field.
It's just telephoto. You just kind of. Yeah, I know exactly what you're meaning and stuff too. Because I think the lowest the aperture goes
2.8, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 2.8 on the.
Yeah, but even then, like it's still a pretty wide lens. On the like, I don't know about the Mavic 3 Pro. Are you able to change your aperture on the other lenses that aren't the wide ones?
I think the Cine one is the only one that you can. It's like it's the reason why it's like another $800 more.
Yeah,
is because of it. And the regular Mavic 3, you have the 3 lenses, but you don't have the capability. I think it has like a smaller processor or something.
Yeah,
like that.
And so
it's just not worth it. I mean, honestly, they probably just designed it just for a marketing tactic to make more money and stuff. Anyway, be like, oh yeah, for an extra $800, you get all this actually, you know. So, which I mean, smart on their part, but like that. I mean, a lot of camera companies they do that and stuff too. Like Sony's, for instance, like. They don't even make that body anymore and stuff. It's completely, but it's still a fantastic camera. For something that is very like a beginner that's just getting into and just wants like a mirrorless and stuff like. I mean, why did you discontinue a very good solid one? And then I don't know. It's just like you have all those different versions of it, and the Sony 4 came out, and that thing's taken like the shutter speed on it is like massively high and does 8K photos, and you're just like, why? you know, like I understand if you're like doing like massive like landscape billboard production type of deal where you're doing it for like a commercialized thing, but like as a amateur, even just a small business owner, it's like you don't need the overkill on it and stuff. Definitely. So that's your drones and stuff basically. But what's your setup that you usually shoot with for like just cameras and stuff?
So I go back and forth. I have a Canon R5, which is
Okay.
my typical go-to. That's usually what I'll travel with and shoot everything on. And then I also have a Blackmagic Pocket 6K. Yeah, so that's like my pretty solid like video camera that I use now for a
Yeah.
lot of our like big commercial projects. But hopefully trading that in and getting the Komodo soon is the plan. And then doing most of the video stuff on the Komodo.
Both of those cameras, the Blackmagic and the Komodos, are just
Yeah.
they're both.
Phenomenal cameras,
It's
especially
just
the Black Magic, just for the price point of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane the quality you can get out of that camera for the price point. It's like there's nothing else like that.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like when you hold the Black Magic, it like feels like you're holding a toy. Like it's like
Yeah.
feels so cheap. Like you can tell it's
Yeah.
like cheaply made,
Yeah.
and it's like the plastic. Like I feel like I just squeeze it and break it.
No, it's interesting how you're just saying like touch on that, because I mean I've had that with like lenses that I've had.
Yeah.
And you get like a lens and then you're just like, this is not going to be a good picture, and then it might like surprise you, but like when you pick that thing up, oh gee whiz, you know
Dense.
you're picking up like
Yeah.
a couple grand right there, and you're just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
gee whiz. And so, but it's worth it. That's been the best lens that I've bought so far. I won a 35 1.4 just because I shoot a lot of weddings and kind of like groups, and I just want to get a little bit sharper image, but a little bit wider shot
Yeah.
and stuff. But I mean the nifty 50, man, I shoot probably 95% of my portraits on my whole entire page is nothing but that 50.
Yeah.
I love it so much for a portrait. I mean, if I was to go on a trip, that's what I would take and stuff. But it's very interesting though, because when I did go to Hawaii, for that, I didn't have the 85 at the time, so all I had was a 50. So I shot all of those photos there with that, and I think I could have got more, but like I said, I wasn't. It was kind of planned chaos at the same time. So knowing now, like what I know and stuff, I could probably get some really amazing images and stuff. But like landscape photography, or just like, that's something that I've never. It goes deeper with just setting up a tripod and taking a picture. I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah.
And, I'm challenging myself later this month. Me and my buddy, we're actually going up to Seneca. There's like a little treehouse like cabin that's like on Airbnb, and we found it. It was like $80 for the
Wow.
night. So me and him's going up there, and we are going to. I'm gonna try to do some night photography
Yeah.
for a YouTube video, and he's kind of like, he loves like. He helped me build my PC, so like he loves like gadgets and tech and stuff like that. So like him and I is gonna like have a cool experience, and we're gonna go up to Dolly Saws and just Seneca and just kind of like chill for the night and stuff. But I've never done it, so like it's gonna be a complete challenge, because I'm just like, okay, I got to figure it out. So this is gonna be like a good test,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So because I want to create like, I just want to capture some. I want to dive more into astrophotography, and just we're in the perfect state for it.
Oh yeah, I mean like I remember when I did a little bit of astrophotography. It was like I remember looking at the dark map and seeing where where we could film, where we could shoot it at, and it's like West Virginia has like the only dark spot in most of the East Coast until you get like up in the Northeast.
Have you been to Calhoun County? Mm-mm. So that's where I'm from, and it's like this last year is like top 5 in the Eastern Seaboard, one of the darkest places.
Really?
And it's literally there's nothing there, but they built a stargazing platform, and then it's a nice little place. It's like a little cabin, and it has a clear roof and stuff. So like you can actually like camp there.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, they have like this stargazing platform that's like built all the way around that you can put tripods and everything up there.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to probably later this summer, I'm going to go and do a little thing, and we literally have nothing there. Like, I mean, I graduated with 69 people, very small. We don't have a stoplight, you know. So like, when you see the night sky there, you're seeing the night sky.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really cool and special. And that's another thing. It's like I want to be able to capture it, but I want to be able to do it good. And
Yeah,
but
that's like one of the really cool things that I love about just like our industry and photography and everything is just there's so many different ways you can go out and
oh
shoot and
yeah,
like things you can shoot that like would challenge you creatively to like figure like just like ways to figure out how to capture your
yeah,
moments. Like even like I did a lot of astrophotography and then I like went to shoot Northern Lights and I was like, oh, I've done a lot of astrophotography. Like Northern Lights would be easy. And I went to shoot
yeah,
Northern Lights. I was like, whoa, this is different. Like this is
yeah,
way different than shooting like actual like like the Milky Way and whatnot. And
yeah,
so it's like constantly just like learning and like different ways to shoot and whatnot. And then it was like after I shot all that stuff in Iceland and Northern Lights, I came back here. We had Northern Lights here in West Virginia. And it was like I was able to just like immediately set up and know exactly how I was going
yeah,
to shoot it, exactly what settings I wanted to use, and just be able to like dial it in super fast and just start snapping photos.
yeah,
Whereas like in Iceland, I had so many trial and error moments where like I have so many photos that like I just never even did anything with because they were like certain parts of the photo were blown out because I didn't know what I was doing exposure wise and just
yeah,
different stuff like that. So there's just like always, it's always a learning experience with
yeah.
whatever you're shooting. And there's always new things you can be learning with it.
Yeah, I do you think there's ever going to be a time where they do FPV drone like night photography? Do you
I
think
really
that
hope so. That'd be really cool.
technology? I mean,
It's,
you could just imagine scaling a cliff at nighttime with the Milky Way behind it. I mean, you can't
I
ask
mean,
for something more magical than that.
I've been wanting to do it with Northern Lights forever.
Yeah.
Like to go and fly a mountain ridge in Iceland with Northern Lights going.
Oh,
But it's like, man, like I don't know what technology you need to make that happen, but it's like I mean, we're flying I mean everything we're flying is GoPro. And so it's
right.
like sensor on the GoPro is just not enough to pick it up.
Yeah.
In regular video mode. Like if you put it in long
Yeah.
exposure mode, you could easily pick up Northern Lights. But like
Yeah.
video mode, there's just no way to do
Yeah.
it. And it's like, and even like most cameras, you wouldn't be able to do it on unless it's like a very, very powerful Northern Lights display. But most of the time, you're getting a pretty low Northern Lights display that you need a long shutter to actually capture. So
Yeah, it might be a thing that we may see it, we may not ever see it in our lifetime and stuff. But it's just like I think that's the cool thing about it. Is like when you see or meet like other creators, it's just you're just like, ooh, what if? You know, like
Yeah.
you start having these little moments of just like spark and you're
Yeah.
just like, and I don't know when they get to a point because like the thing is it's like the Hubble telescope itself, you know, it's like created was like in the 80s or something, and they didn't even know the type of technology they had. And just recently, I think it was like 2-3 years ago, they switched it by like 2 angles, and they found out that it became so much more sharper than ever before.
That's crazy.
Like they switched it like it was like 2 centimeters or something. Like they changed the mirror on it, and they was just like, what have we been doing, you know, for this last 40 years? And the crazy part is like that thing's been up there
yeah.
for years now, and it's been doing amazing.
Yeah.
So just imagine, and
The
I'm just thinking to
technology.
myself, when I heard that, I was just like, you get this wave of just like wonder and just like, oh, just such a cool experience and stuff too. Cause like, that's the type of, I mean, there's so much about this world and about so much stuff that's just like right here on Earth. But like when you start looking at the stars and you start looking like above that, and you're just like, I could sit and just think and just
Oh
constantly
my
wonder and
gosh.
stuff.
I mean,
and,
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and it's beautiful too. It's
It's
a
so
beautiful
insane.
like wonder that you're just like, I don't feel anxious about it. I always feel an excitement of, I think, learning and knowledge and just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's what I love about being an artist and just being a photographer and capturing these moments. Cause I feel like when I capture some of these moments or just like doing the process of it is like, in that point of time, I've captured something that could be somebody's memory forever, you know? And it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, you think about all the older photographs from like the 1800s and stuff. Like when you went and got your photo taken, everybody was thinking, I was like, oh man, like these people look mean. They look, you know, sad or whatever. It's like, no, they couldn't move for like 13 minutes because that picture was being taken because of long exposure and stuff. Like the technology wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing. Like you're going to town, like, we're getting our picture taken. Like that was the moment of the year type deal for them, you know?
Yeah.
Because it was so expensive.
And now it's
stuff.
so casual.
Yeah,
It's
I
just like, Let me take a
Oh,
selfie real
dude.
quick on my phone. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy to think about. And even just like the quality of video we're able to get on our phone now and stuff like that. Like, I mean, yeah, it's we're almost like spoiled now with how
Absolutely.
easily accessible content is, and that's also one of the things that is so interesting because so many people talk about like wanting to be content creators and stuff like that, and like wanting to do all this video stuff, and it's like you hear a lot of people that talk about like, oh, like I just don't have a camera for it or anything like that yet.
Right.
It's like you've got a camera in your pocket that you can make some
Always.
incredible stuff with. I mean,
Always.
you see all these YouTubers like you were talking about earlier, the guy that films all of his YouTube videos straight on his phone, and it's like you have so many tools to just do
Yeah.
this. I mean, I just did a huge project in Croatia, where I traveled Croatia for a week for a competition, for a video competition, and it was me and 5 other people from around the world that were selected for this competition. So there were 6 of us total, and
I voted, by the way.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was in there. And so,
And yeah, and one of the people on the trip, like she filmed everything on her iPhone, and she's one of 6 people that got selected for this competition,
that's,
and she's filmed everything on her iPhone. And so it's
yeah,
like it just goes to show you, like,
no excuses.
yeah, there's no excuses. It's like the story is more important than the tool that you have to film it. And so they like I forget what photographer says it, but they always say like the best camera is the camera you have accessible to you. Like whatever, like the best camera you can use is the one that you have readily accessible to you to make whatever content you want to use. And so yeah, I mean, just like go out and create. Like that's all it is. It's just like so many people get so caught up in gear and like, oh, I don't have the right gear for this, or I don't have the right tool for this, and it's like just gotta start creating. Like, don't worry about the gear. Like, create with what you can. And it's like for me, like going to Banff, like I have all these drones and tools I could use to create content, but like I'm limited to just my camera now. And so it's like I'm gonna go out and create with what I have. It's like, yeah, I have a really nice camera, but it's like still like compared to what I would do typically with the gear, that if I was able to use all my gear, like it's completely different. It's uncomfortable, yeah, but it's like that's how I'm gonna grow as a creative. And it's the same thing for somebody who's getting started. Like, yeah, it might be uncomfortable, but like nobody expects you to put out a Grammy-winning video your
Yeah.
first, or Emmy-winning video your first video that you put out. Like, it's like go out and just create content, and like you'll get better as you go. It's like,
I think that's the problem about being viral too. Like people, they'll either get a clip or see a clip that they know, one, that they could create as good or better, or they create something that is worse and got viral for it, and but they constantly think that is their form of like validation
yeah,
as a creator. For me, on my YouTube, for instance, I had one clip that hit 1.2 million views. I I didn't like it. It was not one of my best clips. It was a clip of it was a groom turning around, and it was a great reaction. It was amazing. But when I looked at, because I look a lot at like cause and effects, I'm a very analytical person, and I looked at the analytics on it, and I looked at it. It was nothing but 65-year-old women from Russia. So now my whole entire channel is based in these women in Russia that's
Yep.
65-year-old, and I was like, some Russian woman just lost her husband to the gulag, and I'm over here trying to create some good photos and stuff. So it's like, how do I reach the people here in West Virginia now?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I got 1,200 subs from that clip alone, and that built half of
Yeah.
my partnership on YouTube already. And I was just like, I don't know if I like that. I think I would rather it went viral a different way, or
Yeah.
split up different way, and stuff. So,
But I think that's also a good testament to don't be afraid, just put out the content anyways. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like you
yeah.
never know what's gonna like click.
well, and that's the thing. That clip, it was posted on there. It hovered at about 2,000 views on. It was a YouTube short. It hovered about 2,000 views for about, I think it was 110 days. Nothing. All of a sudden, I used Golden Hour. That was a song on it, and that was getting really big on TikTok. It was getting big on YouTube Shorts, and it was a trending audio. I woke up, I was getting 100,000 views per day, and I was like, "What the heck's going on?"
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, I didn't even know. You look at the bar, and it's just like boom, boom, and then you see all the external thing, and it's just the sound. The sound's just trending with it, and then you look at it, and I was like, why would the geographic area was so focused over
Yeah.
there? I don't know. Maybe that's when that song was released over
Yeah.
there. I don't know if it was something, with TikTok. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, it was random because I posted it. It was literally like it was a May wedding. I know that because it was the day before I went to Hawaii. It was the wedding before that one, and it didn't go viral until September, end of September, early October, because I was down in Hinton for the railroad days working for tourism, and my phone was blowing up. I was having like notification. I was like, what the heck is going on? I thought I was out of service, and I was coming back into service. My phone was just glitching all the time, and then I got connected to Wi-Fi, and I was like, I got 100,000 views. I was like, what the heck? And then I was trying to tell my coworker, and she, bless her heart, she was older. She was
No
like, oh, good
idea what's going
job,
on.
good job. And
Yeah.
I was like, you won't know what this means. I was like, I don't know what to do and stuff. And it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And it went on for the whole week and stuff. And then it's just now at about 1.2, 1.3 million.
That's
And-
crazy. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I remember like my first like uber viral video. It was just like, what is going on right now? Like I'm getting so many follows and comments and likes like all at once. And it was just like every time I'd refresh, it's like a whole page of new ones.
yeah.
And yeah, like it's such a crazy feeling when you see something like that run.
It's kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you also felt like now you're seen. And
Yeah.
you don't know if that's how you want to be presented, It's very interesting. I mean, what my growth on my Instagram right now, like I feel is slow, but like the portfolio of my Instagram I'm happy with, because like I felt like I've grown with my work and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. I'm not into the numbers part of it, but if I have one that does pop off, I'm like, okay, it's great and stuff. But now I'm just like, I've been putting a lot of my focus on YouTube, and I try to be very analytical about like every single like video and everything like that, because I want it to be more of an educational, like how to this type of deal. And it's very interesting. Social media in general is so analytical. It changes, it evolves every single day. Depending on, just culture, economy, everything. Like Twitter is like a wild, wild west. Like it's insane. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's as a creator, it is very if you're in the sweet spot, you better ride it as long as you can.
Oh,
and
yeah.
try to and recognize it too.
Yeah.
Because when it's gone, I feel like you don't know when it's going to be back. It's like that might have been my most viral moment, and I might never have one ever, but it's like, what can I do to like still increase that that value and
Yeah.
stuff. I had one, it has like 70,000 views on YouTube, and it was people was hating on me more than anything because I didn't show the result at the end of the video. It's just a behind the scene, just a 10-second clip that I was just doing a YouTube short with just to get content up, and they was like, oh, another creator not showing the results.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, bud, I'm just out here just trying to live my life,
Yeah.
man, but I was like, keep it coming. I just kept on
Get that engagement up.
yeah, but it was frustrating regardless.
Yeah.
So do you, as like a creator of somebody that has been traveling, that's has done a very successful business, and also just like kind of found their way and stuff, do you have any advice to somebody that's trying to get into that, or what's your biggest like where you're trying to get out of it, I guess, for others?
I mean, my biggest thing for others is just like create as much content as possible. Like just go out and create and just continue to create and create what you love doing. Because it's like what you love doing is what's going to show the most. And it's like, and doing what you love is how you avoid burnout as a creator as well.
Yeah.
And because like I fall into it all the time, and I know creators do it all the time. They fall into like the money trap of like, oh, like I really don't want to do this job, but the money's really good.
Right.
And it's like as soon as you stop focusing on the money and just focus on what you really enjoy doing, and focus on like just building a career and doing what you love, then it's like the work comes because it recognizes like that's what you're passionate about. People recognize what you're passionate about, recognize that's what you're best at. And like, that's when you really start to flourish as a creator. And like, and then what I would say is like, then like you become wealthy. And it's like, and not wealthy in a monetary way, and maybe in a monetary way, but in terms of just like everyone has their own definition of wealth, and like that's the lifestyle you want and the life you want to live. And once you start doing what you're really passionate about, that's when you like build true wealth. And yeah, like for me, it was FPV. Like I tried so many different styles of photography and videography and so many different routes with it, and was getting burnt out left and right because I was just going so hard and trying to build business and chase making money from it. And then I found FPV, and FPV is the one thing that's like, I'm not gonna get burnt out from.
Right.
And it's like there's definitely days that it sucks. Like there's definitely days where it feels like work, but for the most part, like you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and what you're passionate about when in your free time, that's what you're doing. Like
Right.
for work and your free time, like it's the exact same thing. For me, like flying drones, going out and shooting content with the FPV, I do that in my free time for fun all the time, and I also do it for work. And so it's like, even I'm not working, like I'm still doing drone stuff, and it's fun. And like in return, that's building me into a better creator and FPV drone pilot to go and do better work.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great mentality of it. I think a lot of people, I've learned a lot just going full time with it, and like I mentioned, like I'm gonna go up to Seneca and do that YouTube video. Like that's gonna be fun for me because it's gonna be a buddy of mine, and we're gonna enjoy it. But I know I'm also getting content out of
Yeah.
it, and it could become work. and
Yeah,
stuff as well.
exactly.
So I'm just like, it's a good, I don't know, good thing for both of them, you know, and stuff to intertwine. So I love that. Another thing too, I forgot to mention is like you have your gallery up right now in the 228 studio.
Well, it just finished.
Just
yeah,
finished.
yeah.
Okay. How did that turn out? Was that your first gallery that you
Yeah,
did?
it was my first
Yeah.
gallery doing anything like that, and it was really cool. And huge shout out Jared for letting me come in and like take over his little
Yeah.
gallery. And
I was
put
watching
my
on
photos and stuff
Instagram
up.
like all the time when you guys was posting updates on it. I was like, dang man, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, and especially like getting to see so many people come out for the opening. That was the only day I was able to actually make it because I was out of state for the rest of the 2 weeks it was open. But yeah, like being able to see all these people there and appreciating like my work in person, because like one thing to have it online and have people like seeing it, and then occasionally like having your friends tell you in person like, oh yeah, that's really cool, but like
Yeah.
to see so many people in one room, and like I had my photos all over the walls on their side, and I had a huge TV set up with my FPV films on it, and to see like so many people gather around the FPV films, just like watching them for forever. Like there was one guy that was there that sat there, and it was a looping video, and he probably sat through it like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, man, this is so cool. Like to see people that are like that invested, like
Yeah.
and are like really enjoy watching my work and seeing
Yeah.
it in person, not just like getting a comment or a like it's so rewarding. Like that was one of the most rewarding things I got to do. And like my whole family came out for it too. So it was like really special to have like all of their support from it. Like my grandparents came out and everything,
Yeah.
and like have all of them there to support it was just like really special. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I'm so happy for you and stuff because it's like I said, I've been following you for, it's probably been since 2019, 20, I think, around there. It was definitely during COVID and stuff, and because I think you originally did some videos of like black waterfalls.
Yeah.
That's the ones I saw, and I was like, ooh. And I was at tourism, I was like, why are we not doing this, guys? Why are we not doing this? And but dude, just seeing what you're doing now and seeing who you're working with and the brands that you're working with, and it's just cool. It's really neat to see somebody here in the state that is just hitting it, you know. So I
Really
love
appreciate
it, man. But you have anybody else that you want to shout out? Any other creators or anything like that you want to?
Man.
Or any idea for like people that could be on the pod? Because that could, I'm always looking for people to.
In terms of people that I'd love to shout out are just like my friends, like Colin and Danny. Like they're probably my best friends I travel with a lot, and like they push me so much as creatives, and like they just like inspire me. Danny was one of the first people I ever saw that like did FPV, and then like him and I became friends, and like we travel a lot together now and shoot stuff, and even just like being able to build a little like community of creators is like so special. And so to be able to like have people that are like solid that you can call anytime and like
Yes.
help you out with like, oh, like I need your opinion on this. Like I'm having trouble with this. Like, what do you think of this shot? Or like, still, how can I improve this? Like to have people like that in your life that can help out with that. super special.
Yeah.
So like that's what like my friends Danny and Colin are for me, in like our little group. But
Well, if you're looking for more people and stuff too, we have a Discord that we have about 30 or 40 creatives all across the state and stuff, and they shoot a little bit of everything. And it's been really nice in the last couple months. It's grown a lot. And
sick.
we've been in there. We talk about gear. We talk about locations. We just talk about venting and just like it's
Yeah.
really nice too because if we're like booked on a project or we're looking for someone
Need someone else coming in and help
we
with
can
it.
be like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, we know you take good
That's
work
cool.
and you're
Yeah.
responsible. So if anyone's watching and wants to join that as well, it's open to anybody. So that link will be in the description below too. But yeah, anybody else?
Yeah, and like I had a bunch of friends from college who like I did a lot of photography stuff with.
Yeah.
A lot of them moved out of state. My friends Alex and Austin were like the two OGs that like we did a lot of work.
Yeah.
We like would just all the time in college
had,
go out and shoot photos.
I did my IMC. I had like probably almost every single class with Austin.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
so-
gonna be one I recommended to
Yeah,
to invite on the
he's
podcast.
on my list and
Yeah,
stuff for sure.
yeah. So Austin would be a good one for the podcast.
yeah.
And that's what the hard thing for me lately has been. A lot of like my friends I shot with have moved out of state now, so it's like, yeah, there's like Austin's like probably Austin and Jared are like the two like really go-to guys that are
Yeah.
still around. Yeah, you just had Josh on. Josh
Yeah.
is super
Yeah.
super sick videographer.
He was just so down to earth, really cool
Yeah.
guy and stuff. We talked about his pizza and everything like that, and just
That's
like,
awesome.
But no, it's neat because like I said, I think I'm loving just to sit down and I just want to have conversations with creatives. I think we're in such a society now that we look at each other and be like, oh, we're not even in that circle and we're never going to be that circle. But it's like you can sit down and have a genuine conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
As a human,
And it's like it's so cool to be a photographer, videographer, because especially traveling, like you meet so many people.
Right.
And I've met like now some of my best friends just through travel that
Yeah.
we like one of my best friends from Iceland, David, that like I like one of the bros in Iceland, like he lives in Reykjavik, and I met him my first ever trip in Iceland, just like going out, and we were hiking into this canyon to go film this waterfall, and he was just like in the canyon filming a coffee commercial. And I was like, dude, what are you filming? Like,
Yeah.
talk to him for a little bit, and then we like follow each other on Instagram, and then like now like he's one of the guys I always hang out with when I go to Iceland.
That's amazing.
And like meeting people at the volcano, like I've met so many people like just at the volcano hanging out, like
Yeah.
there were photographers, videographers that like are now some of like my like really good friends that
Yeah.
I'll see and hang out with when I'm traveling. So
you have you ever been to when up at Snowshoe when they did the UCI World Championships?
never made it out. I always
Dude.
wanted to. Yeah.
You need to. That was probably one of that has your atmosphere all over it and stuff. And I thought I knew a lot about just shooting sports.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went there and I shot, because we went up there and we had an Airstream up there for the tourism, and I had a chance to like shoot a couple things just as kind of like I had time to shoot it
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. I met some people from like Red Bull and Mercedes Benz. They was our biggest sponsors up there for that.
That's
and
sick.
when you meet like somebody that like a Red Bull photographer, I felt like I was talking to like an Olympian or
gosh,
something.
yeah,
And they're sitting there, and then when they're doing the live feed, these guys, let me just say too, these are athlete photographers too. These are people that are carrying like at least 20, 30 pounds of gear and sprinting to the next location.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they are just, I couldn't do it, like
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there like out of breath just watching them and stuff. But like, dude, that was some of the best images I've gotten, and the mountain biking, the atmosphere, West Virginia, the people. I watched a band there called Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. They are they party, have great music. The finale, the women that plays, she plays like a washboard and she lights it on fire and stuff. And
That's
plays
so
it.
Cool.
I mean, it's just like, and I'm sitting there, I
Oh,
took photos
man.
of that.
Yeah.
The whole snowshoe like circle up there was it was a concert and stuff. And it was a incredible experience and stuff. And, but yeah, if you ever go up there and do something with them because the way the track is, it's it comes right up there. I mean, you could get amazing shots
Yeah.
and stuff. I could see it
Dang.
now. And but yeah, I mean, dude, it's been amazing. It's been amazing just sit down and chat with you. I appreciate you so much for coming down here. You hopped off a flight earlier today. You
Had a red eye last night.
yeah. So it's like I don't even know if you're like able to like talk right now. And I'm just you texted me that and was like, yeah, man, I'm coming on my flight. I'm doing this. I was like, gee whiz. I was like, all right, like if you want to and stuff.
Never stops. It's fun.
But dude, thank you so much. Truly, it means a lot just to sit down and talk to another creator and stuff. Especially one of your caliber. I know. Just take your flowers, man. Just take them and enjoy them. You're killing it. As always, guys, all of his information is going to be located in the description below. His YouTube is going to be tagged as well. Make sure you go follow him, like on all of his on all of his content. This podcast is also sponsored by Megan Nicole Photography. This is where we film this podcast. Megan is an amazing photographer that focuses on maternity, family, boudoir sessions, children's sessions, and things like that. If you are interested in booking any of that, like the studio, all you got to do is go to her website, which is going to be in the description below, and just reach out to her, fill out a quick form, and then the rest is history. So please give her some love as well. And yeah, Parker, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I guess, guys, we'll see you in the next one. And remember, never stop creating.